If you're carrying around resentment toward your spouse, you're not alone. I find this is a problem for many couples. I'm going to tell you how resentment is killing your marriage and what you should do about it. Hi, I'm Kelly Case, licensed counselor and marriage coach. I take marriages that are broken and unfulfilling and make them first class. This channel is for people who want a happier home but don't know how to get it. Be sure to click the subscribe button so that you will get notified whenever I upload new videos. In the movie Wild, Cheryl Strayed, played by Reese Witherspoon, without any hiking experience, sets out to hike the 1,100-mile Pacific Crest Trail by herself on a journey of self-discovery and healing after the loss of her mother. She's bringing a lot of baggage along, both physically and metaphorically. She refers to her incredibly heavy backpack as Monster. At one point in the movie, she realized that she was averaging only 5 to 7 miles per day, while other hikers with the less heavy backpacks were averaging 20 miles per day. All because of the weight she was carrying around. At this rate, she would never make it. Just like the woman in the movie, we often lug around things that aren't serving us well and do nothing but weigh us down and keep us from reaching our destination. How about you? What are you lugging around? Do you have a backpack named Monster? The resentment you hold for your spouse is like her backpack. It's unnecessary. It weighs you down on your journey, which is already challenging enough on its own. If you want a first-class marriage, it's time to deal with the backpack. You can have your backpack or you can have your marriage, but you can't have both. Lugging around unforgiveness, bitterness, and resentment is a surefire way to ruin any relationship. There's a real cost to toting around things that we should let go of. Most people have some level of resentment toward their spouse. Maybe they have said or done things that stung a little, or maybe there have been experiences in your marriage history that have caused you a great deal of pain and are just hard to let go of. Maybe for you, that's an understatement. Maybe it feels downright impossible to let go, or even terrifying. I've been there. I understand. Should we forgive someone who hasn't admitted that they're wrong, hasn't apologized, and or hasn't changed? Yes. Because if you wait for them to make it right, then that means they have all the power. And your healing is completely dependent on their actions. Our need for fairness makes us resistant to the idea of forgiveness. We like receiving it, but we don't really like giving it, especially if we've been deeply hurt. Regardless, forgiveness is necessary for us to move forward. But why? There are 2 reasons. First, it's necessary for your relationship to survive. Nothing else you do to produce a happy, long-lasting marriage will work if you have resentment, bitterness, and unforgiveness toward your spouse. You can't accept your spouse if you can't forgive them. You can't believe in your spouse if you can't forgive them. You can't connect with your spouse if you can't forgive them. You can't communicate well with a heart of bitterness and resentment. You can't resolve conflict with a heart of bitterness. And you definitely can't have good sex without forgiveness. Simply put, your marriage will disintegrate because unforgiveness will taint every component necessary for a happy relationship. Seriously, hear me on this. It could be the one thing that ruins everything. And the power's in your hands. Second, forgiveness is necessary for your physical and mental well-being, whether you stay married or not. Research has demonstrated that forgiveness lowers your risk of heart attack, improves sleep, reduces pain, improves blood pressure, reduces stress, improves immune response, and decreases anxiety and depression. So if you're not feeling physically well, maybe you have poor sleep, digestive issues, anxiety, chronic pain, etc. You may have never really connected it before, but this could be due all or partly to the unforgiveness that you're holding on to. Science has repeatedly shown this to be true. So forgiveness is something essential for your health no matter what. And learning how to forgive hard things will benefit you in all relationships in life. It's not just for your spouse or even for your marriage. It's also for you. Sometimes we think we've forgiven, but then when certain feelings come up again, we question whether or not we really forgave them. In a minute, I'm going to tell you how to know if you have truly forgiven your spouse. Carrying the burden of resentment is tough. It means that in your mind, you randomly think about and replay the events that hurt you. You think about it when you're driving in the car, when you're in the shower, when you lie down in bed at night. You rehash it over dinner and drinks with friends. It seeps into and ruins your mood over and over again. And if you're stuck in your woundedness, it's a pretty tormenting place to be. Thinking about all the careless words that she said, or the unbelievable way he acted. How could he or she be so cold? Our enemy, Satan, would love for us to set up camp in those thoughts and dwell on all the ways we've been wronged. That's because he understands that whatever consumes us controls us, friend. Do you really want to be ruled by the pain of your past? Or do you want freedom from it, even if it's risky? You have every right to hold on to that offense. It was wrong. No one is saying that you aren't entitled to your hurt and angry feelings. The fact that you have resentment means that there's something to forgive. It means that you were wounded, or else there wouldn't be anything to forgive. You were wronged. Take it to the grave with you. But what will you profit from doing that? In your marriage? Nothing. Forgiveness is a decision. Sometimes a decision that we have to keep making continually over and over again. A decision to let it go, and then intentionally and willingly let it go every single time that reappears in your mind. You can't heal your marriage until you forgive your spouse for the past and start with a clean slate. There's no guarantee that you won't get hurt again, but there is a sure bet that your marriage won't last if you stay stuck in the pain. Forgiveness is your best shot. It's your only chance. Forgiving your spouse doesn't ensure they won't hurt you again, but refusing to forgive ensures that your marriage will stay stuck and continue to hurt. You can have your backpack, or you can have your marriage. You can't have both. So how can we know if we have truly forgiven someone? Well, that can be tricky, but I can give you some signs to kind of help you figure it out. Even after you've forgiven someone, you may still get triggered from time to time. In fact, you probably will. Something will remind you of the offense, and you will immediately dredge up all of those negative emotions. It still hurts. That's normal. Remember, forgiveness is a choice, and sometimes we have to choose it over and over again. So when you get triggered and those feelings arise, recognize them and choose to let them go. Say to yourself, this still hurts. I don't want it to hurt me any more than it has to. I'm going to choose to let it go again. I don't want to carry it with me. I don't want to think about it all day. I don't want to let it cause me distress. I don't want it to hurt my marriage any longer. I choose to let it go again and let my mind be consumed by other things today. I want my marriage to be whole and no longer damaged by the past. If you're able to do that, you're successfully forgiving. Another sign that you're on the road to forgiveness is that you no longer feel the need to present your hurts to everyone who will listen. You don't need to rehash the details of the event with friends or with your spouse. You no longer want to make your spouse feel bad for what they did, and you don't really want others to think badly about them. You don't need to present proof of your victimhood any longer because you've forgiven it and let it go. Lastly, you might be able to feel some empathy for the person who hurt you. This is a good sign. You see, hurt people hurt people. You were hurt by your spouse probably because they were hurt. They were likely acting out of their own hurt, either hurt caused by you or by someone else. Now they've hurt you, and you can choose to be a hurt person that will also hurt other people, like maybe your children. Or you can choose to be a healed person that isn't passing on the hurt. When you realize that hurt people, you can have empathy for the hurt that your offender experienced that caused them to be hurtful to you. Forgiveness is instant, but healing is a process. Until you decide to forgive, you haven't even started that process. Until you decide to move forward, you will always live in yesterday's pain. So if you really want a better marriage, your only option is to forfeit your right to be hung up on yesterday. Forfeit the right to quit. Forfeit the right to just be a victim. It may be a long, arduous process, but you have to decide to move forward. You have to decide to forgive and let those things lay behind you. My hope for you is that you will have the courage to say, I am choosing to let go of this resentment, even though I have every right to hold on to it, because I know it's the only way to save my marriage. Of course, letting go of resentment is probably not the only thing standing between you and a first-class marriage. To learn more about how to get the marriage you want, visit me at firstclassmarriage.com. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe so more people can see this valuable information.